Manella was born on Christmas or the day before.
Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve, yes. And he gave a dictation after his ascension, a Christmas dictation. He called it Turning the Inner World, the Law of Obedience, and the Alignment of the Soul. It's recorded in volume 25, number 6, if you want to go back and chase it a little bit more, which I would recommend. He said, "My beloved, ere the worlds can be turned, they must be aligned from within." Now, as we look at what we have been doing this morning so far, we've prayed the Lord's Prayer, what is it, 4 or 5 times now. It's not that we don't know about it, it's a very good prelude to our prayer life. But the last 2 sentences begins to open up a different thought pattern as we begin to look at how we pray. When you say, "Our Father," what do you visualize? If you're a person that was raised as myself, seeing yourself as a poor sinner, you weren't worthy to stand up and proclaim things, etc. Then you see the Father sitting on his throne, and we say, "Our Father, which art in heaven," and it's way out there. But when you take a good look at what was given this morning in this visual, the visual, it demands a little bit different change. For you have to begin to see yourself on the inside, not on the outside. The inside, where you are God in manifestation. Our Father who art in heaven. Heaven is within. The kingdom of heaven is within you. So you have to change your thought process. See yourself from a different point of reference. You are now going to operate from the God point rather than the sinner point. And so as you look at the world around you, it has to change. You have to see through eyes of God, which is eyes of love, of healing, of lifting, all of this. It's a change of frequency. And so when you think in terms of your prayer, you need to be able to immediately sense where you're coming from. And if you notice, it really works out very well for when you say, "For yours is the Spirit and the light, forever breathing through me as I am driving down the road, breathing through me as I am healing a person, breathing through me as I am going through an experience which is tough, breathing through me." You see it moving out from you. Makes a complete difference from your point of reference. So when he says, "My beloved, ere the worlds can be turned, they must be aligned from within." And this is really what we're talking about here. Realignment, realigning our own philosophy to move from a different preference, point of reference. He said that these words are not about distant galaxies or cosmic spheres, but about you, the inner world of your own consciousness. Each of us is a living world, a microcosm of divine reality. The true revolution of the planet, the turning of the age, the fulfillment of prophecy begins within the orbit of the individual soul. Our Master Leonello says, you are spherical beings. Your aura, your energy field is a world where light or shadow may reign depending on your alignment with your own Christ self. And so before we seek to turn the world outside this Christmas season, we must first align the world within to our own mighty I Am presence. Alignment is the prelude to transformation. There can be no outer victory without inner obedience. Our scripture today was from 1 Kings chapter 13, the story of the man of God and the lying prophet. As you remember, the true prophet was sent by the Lord to rebuke King Jeroboam. And on his return, his assignment by the Lord was to return home without stopping anywhere to eat. He was not even to eat in Jeroboam's land. Now that's very important when you start listening, that you catch all the innuendos. Don't do this, but don't do this. He was not even to meet in the king's land. But the lesser prophet, the older prophet in the king's land, who should have been the one to go and do the job in Jeroboam, with Jeroboam, but he didn't. He wasn't. Shall we say, in tune with God well enough. When his sons came home, if you remember, and they said, hey, Dad, this prophet from the north was down, and this is what he did today. If you were the lesser prophet, what would that make you feel? Jealousy. Why wasn't I the one to ask to go to there? Because I wasn't up for that. I wasn't in tune with it. I was a lesser disciplined prophet. It was his son that came home and said, hey, Dad, you should have been to church today. Man, this guy was in and he healed. He first of all, as Jeroboam said, arrest him. Then his arms dried up and he couldn't move it. And then he quickly said, hey, please come and fix it. Ask your Lord to fix it. And then he fixed it. He said, you should have really seen the thing. Can you feel what the old prophet was feeling? The ego would eat him up. I wasn't high enough in my spiritual attunement for God to tell me to go and do that. And so what did he feel? He felt like, I gotta meet this guy. So he told his sons, saddle up the donkey for me, quick. I gotta go. Where'd he go? He went out this way. So he chased after him. So he finally met him sitting under a tree, and he said, "Come on home with me and eat with me. I'm a prophet too." And the good prophet, if you remember, said, "Oh, I can't do that. The Lord told me I had to do this and not eat or drink until I got away from Jeroboam's land." Now, what would you think if you were the lesser prophet? It would only show that you were not on the beam. And so, what did he say? Well, an angel just came to me and told me to come and catch you and take you home with me. Now, the sin in this situation was the disobedience. It wasn't that he couldn't go and eat with another prophet. It was that the Lord said you cannot eat in Jeroboam's area. You completely get out of there before you eat or drink. As you begin to see the ego of the lesser prophet stepped in and lied. But the problem with the other prophet was, it'd really be nice to go and eat with somebody. I mean, this was a big job I did. I stood before the king. We went through this whole thing. And here, this other guy says, "Come on home with me. I'm a prophet too, you know." This is what we do so much to cure the ego, so to speak. If I can get this guy who's a successful prophet to come home and eat with me, that makes my ego lift me up. So when he did this, and it was his own need to have some time with another prophet, you know how we are. If we can just sit down and chew the fat with somebody, makes us feel good. But it cost him his life. This is serious business. And when you begin to be able to actually become the Father in manifestation, these kind of things are very, very serious. This is the reason why Paul says, this is serious stuff. You need to really take a good look and concentrate on really what our mission and what our thrust is. So, because the man of God disobeyed the Father, he lost his life. At first glance, this discipline seems harsh. Just because he went home to eat, he sent a lion to kill him. Take a look at how much we use excuses the same way. The sin was not in eating and drinking with the fellow prophet, but the sin was in disobedience. Obedience is the magnetic pull that keeps the world in balance. When we step outside of the divine direction, even with good intention, we lose alignment. How many times have we regretted that we didn't follow that hunch or that guidance with the Master? He said, no, don't go. We go. And consequently, we have to say later, if I would have just listened. This instant karmic return was the dispensation before the birth of Christ. In the Old Testament, karma returned instantly. And yet, even in that stern lesson, there was mercy. The lion that struck down the prophet stood beside the body, but did not devour it. A sign that the judgment was pure and precise, not vengeful. It wasn't because the Master or the Lord was angry. It was because he disobeyed. Beloved ones, every disciple in Chela faces this same test. Will we obey the inner word of our own Christ self when the outer voices sound so persuasive? Will we recognize the lying prophet within, the synthetic self that justifies compromise? The synthetic self is the false prophet within the temple of being. But the Christ self speaks the language of the law of love, of obedience. To listen to the synthetic self is to eat and drink at the wrong table, to exchange divine fire for human sympathy. A problem for parents, teachers, judges, bosses, etc. We love so much. We're so desire to be the best parent, the best teacher, the best boss, that we fail to hold the line. We give in because we think it's more loving. But we must learn to hold the line, to follow the law for the spiritual good, not only of ourselves, but for those we love and serve. Anything less is living the lie. The second point that Lynetto speaks about was the path of chielership as chastisement understood as mercy. Why is God doing this to me? How many times have you felt that? Why does God allow all this evil around us? How merciful is this law. When correction comes, it is proof that the tie to the Father remains. The absence of correction is the sign of spiritual death. Note the children who receive no discipline. They have no consciousness of proper ethics or personal discipline. Read the news of the day. Look at what's happening. You say, my goodness, no one seems to have, or certain people don't seem to have any base concept of what's right and wrong. Every true Sheila welcomes chastisement as a sign of divine love. The lion that corrects the prophet is not an enemy, but a guardian of the covenant. Even so, the masters stand by us in our moments of testing, not to devour, but to keep the vigil over our soul until we are safely restored to our rightful place. Each one of you, each one of us, wears a spiritual garment, which is the office of cheliship. Though you may stumble, the garment remains pure in the higher octaves. It is a pattern you can always aspire to re-embody. The angels guard that pattern until you reclaim it through the obedience and service. So let chastisement not discourage you. Let it quicken you. Let it draw you closer to your own Christ presence. Every reproof is a love note from heaven, a call to return to alignment. I remember one of my tours in Norway. We were in northern Norway having a seminar, and somebody approached me and said, "Reverend Showalter, you really need to come to south part of Norway. There a woman who is bedridden lies day after day after day. The townspeople just keep walking in around just to be around her. She is so high and so magnificently beautiful, and everything she says is uplifting and healing. She's constantly busy, but she's tied up. She can't get up and walk. You ought to come and see her and meet with her." This is the kind of thing we're talking about. Even though she was tied to a bed, she was totally in heaven, and everybody was lifted to go and see her. This is what we're talking about. A third point that Lanello made is that we must take the responsibility to be God on earth. This is hard to learn and to accept sometimes. I remember coming home one time from a tour with our beloved messenger. Someone had called and complained about something I did on the tour. Mother wanted to talk to me about it. So she mentioned it, and I felt that it would only be fair for Mother to hear my side of the situation. And so I started to say, "But Mother," and she cut me off. She said, "Don't argue with me." We have to get to that point where we are secure within ourselves. So when someone criticizes us, we know who we are. We can learn and so on, but it doesn't threaten our position. It's a very important lesson that we have to learn, and it comes hard at times. This is the point we need to begin to practice. No excuses. Just be. And if somebody criticizes, we take a look at it, see whether we want to change, but don't feel like we have been threatened. The good prophet wanted to be accepted by the lying prophet, so he caved to his need rather than finishing his assignment. You see, it was the temptation that destroyed his success. How many excuses do we use daily to neutralize our mastery and our mission. The dictation declares, what else is there to be but to be God? Instead of working from the consciousness of being a sinner and I'm looking at God up there, we must begin to be thinking from the consciousness of the Christ of God. No excuses, just be. This is the crux of all avataric teaching. The great avatars, Jesus, Maitreya, Buddha, Saint Germain, all took responsibility to embody God. This is the true meaning of discipleship, to take responsibility for being God in action. Free will is God. God is free will. Therefore, as co-creators, we must own the world we inherit. To say, why does God allow evil? Is to forget that we are not that God, that we are that God in manifestation. And we are called to transmute and redeem what human will has messed up. So, beloved, take up your daily calling as the prophet of your own world. When you invoke light, when you decree by name and circumstance, heaven responds with precision. The light seeks its own level, and you become the instrument of its descent. You are the light of the world, not metaphysically, but literally. The presence of God, individualized in you, is the sustaining flame of this planet. Do not underestimate the impact of one obedient Sheila holding their alignment. It can turn the tide of nations. The Master calls this the turning of your world. When your inner world turns in obedience, the outer world follows. When your sphere is aligned, heaven itself rejoices. And this is what Advent, the time in which we are right now, the 4 Sundays before Christmas, the realignment of your Christhood, the intentional putting on or becoming more of that Christ of God. And so the call of the hour is to obedience and victory. Beloved hearts, obedience is not repression, it is liberation. It frees the energy trapped in self-will and returns it to divine will. The moment we surrender to the word, the capital word, capital W, the word within, we are infused with new life, as though the tiredness and the burden of the flesh are swept away by the charge of light. This is why the Master says that joy, energy, and buoyancy come not from physical rest, but from divine purpose. When you know that you are sent by God, your strength is renewed like the eagle's. Let us therefore resolve today to silence the lying prophet within, to obey the true inner voice, and to live as God on earth. Let us honor the office of guru and messenger, of chela and disciple. Let us sustain each other in this sacred alignment, so that the worlds within us may be turned by the hand of the I am that I am. Beloved Danilo, we thank you. Beloved Sana Kamara, we thank you. Beloved Maitreya, we thank you. Seal this word in our hearts, that every soul here receive the turning of their world. Let the lying prophet within be silenced, and let the voice of the Christ command obedience to the law of love. For reaffirm, and I'd like for you to repeat after me, I am obedient to the light. Together, I am obedient to the light. I am aligned with the presence. I am aligned with the presence. I am turning my world to God. I am turning my world to God. So let it be, sealed in the flame of victory, by the hand of the great Guru Sana Kamaro, in the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, and the Divine Mother. Let it be done, and it is done.